Hello, my friends. Jacob's here one more time, and hasn't the world gotten a little more claustrophobic? Hasn't it gotten a little more constricting? Isn't time moving so fast that we can't keep up? It seems like things are speeding up, doesn't it? Doesn't it? When we had daylight savings, when I had that extra hour, it was the weirdest thing. I felt like, oh, this is the way I remember things used to be, but not anymore. Everything's going so quickly and so crazily that everybody on social media is freaking out. Because every other minute on the X platform or whatever platform you're on, there's something that's kind of stressful coming your way. This stress is being manifested in Iceland, in Grindavik, where a massive hole opened up. People are saying this is like something out of the movie 2012. There are earthquakes and volcanoes literally happening all over the world right now. Underwater volcano erupting in Japan, creating new islands. Earthquakes in Italy, volcano fears in Mexico, dolphins going nuts as another earthquake hits. It's out of control. Just this morning, I woke up, and by this morning, I meant like at 3 a.m. I woke up and I saw that my governor, the New York governor, Kathy Hochul, I think she's related to Pelosi, I think. You know her, right? Well, she just held a big press conference. And she was telling everybody, because there's been a huge incidence of a lot of hate crimes going on. A lot of people are, going off on people that have different religions and look different and act different. I wonder if it has anything to do with people coming in from other countries, too. There's a massive migrant issue right now in New York. Mayor Adams, who's being investigated, by the way, he brought that up as a big issue. Yeah. Mayor Adams, the guy who talks about crystals and all sorts of things and said that God placed them there. He's being investigated by the government, I believe, because of some kind of bribes or something they think that he took, which is ironic because he posted something where a bunch of devils were all over in New York City, this video right here, and it was 2 months and like 2 days from that the announcement was made. But that's not what's concerning me. What's concerning me is where this whole thing with social media is going. There's a big push right now to get everybody to believe that they have free speech, right? The X platform's the place where you can go and you can do it. And let me tell you something, people are taking advantage. People are taking advantage. People are attacking me. Jacob, a little meatball that I am, attacking me, thinking that I'm like Jewish or something because the last name's Israel. People forget that Jacob Israel, he wasn't Jewish, he wasn't Christian, he wasn't a Muslim. He was just a guy who had a relationship with the creator of all. He made a commitment, a covenant with God. He had a covenant with God. He wanted to serve God all the days of his life, and he did so in fear and trembling. I can relate because it's a stressful time to be alive. But I have great hope. I have hope, especially, but not for people who are very hateful online, because there's massive surveillance going on. That's right, Kathy Hochul, she came out and she said it. She said it. Remember a while ago, they're like, oh no, we would never do that. We would never do that. They signed that Patriot Act, which was like thousands of pages or something, and everybody got to read it in a couple of minutes. It was like ridiculous, and everybody signed off on it. The people that are in charge, they've done some things that are just not too, I don't know, I would say trustworthy. Would you say, tell me in the comments section if you trust the things that are going on in our government. I think, this is just me, once again, and I don't know, because I'm just a speculator. I just look at the landscape and I say, oh, I think this may happen next. I think that there's a big push. I don't even know if we're really the United States anymore. I think that there's this like a global thing going on, and I think little by little they're implementing this rule. Then it's going to be very much like social credit system in China over here, just so you know. Yeah, that's what's happening. Well, listen to what Kathy Hochul had to say about the massive surveillance that's going on social media. They got like millions of dollars that are being put out to this. She says very clearly, she goes, if you post something that is hateful and is what they consider to be hate speech, which is not good, You know, I told Danielle about this morning. I said, you know, people got to be careful what they're posting now. And she says, well,
maybe you shouldn't be on social media.
I go, that's my job. That's what I do. How am I supposed to reach people? That's the place. It's like, it would be like telling, you know, it would be like telling somebody, yo, no, you can't go out there and talk to people. You got to just keep it to yourself. I can't keep this to myself. But I preach love. I preach tolerance. I talk about unity and forgiveness. Not the people that she's supposedly coming after. These people are doing horrible things, they say.
Also, we're very focused on the data we're collecting from surveillance efforts, what's being said on social media platforms. And we have launched an effort to be able to counter some of the negativity and reach out to people when we see hate speech being spoken about on online platforms. Our media analysis, our social media analysis unit has ramped up its monitoring of sites to catch incitement to violence, direct threats to others. And all of this is in response to our desire, our strong commitment to ensure that not only do New Yorkers be safe, but they also feel safe. Because personal security is about everything for them. As I said, no one walking down the street or in a subway should feel they have to hide any indications of what their religious beliefs are.
There's like massive anti-Semitism. There's massive on campuses and everything else. We heard the White House talk about Islamophobia. People have to grow up and stop looking at other people as if that they're better or worse. But now she's being very, very frank with everybody, and she's letting everybody know that you're being watched. And you know what kind of gets me a little bit worried about all this? Because, you know, when you're so blatant that you're going to say, you're going to use the words massive surveillance, basically, is what she was saying. You start to think, I wonder if this will carry over, like down the road, if maybe, I don't know, the government's doing things that people don't agree with, and you kind of speak out against what they're doing. Or if they say that you need to take something medically that maybe you really don't need to, but so that people can get paid a lot of money. And if you say something like that, maybe they'll come after you too. We've seen it. We've seen videos where people are just like old ladies and just normal people are just getting arrested in other countries because they posted something, I don't know, in support of one, group or denouncing a group. I gotta speak in roundabouts for all of you because, you know, you say certain things and it's frowned upon to be just very frank and honest. But I think you get what I'm saying. Right now, it's an interesting time. We've been warned about this. We've been warned in 1984. We've been warned in Fahrenheit 451. We've been warned in all of these books and all of these tales. I wonder if it was just like programming us to get ready. If it wasn't like a warning, but it was like, this is what's going to happen because, you know, time travel. But the more I look at the world and the more I look at even the United States and everything that's happened, you know, the way that we saw all those videos of all the people that are just, it's so sad. They're just, you know, all the fentanyl that came into the country and just people that are just nodded off on the streets and they all look like zombies. And how many times have you seen videos about San Francisco and about how terrible it is and how disgusting it is and how, nobody's doing anything about it? It went on for how long? How long did I watch all of these terrible videos where you just like breaks your heart, you want to cry, and they're not doing anything about it? Governor Newsom, what was he doing? He wasn't doing nothing about it, it seemed, right? He's still in power. You would think that people that make terrible mandates and do horrible things to people and make people's lives so much harder to the fact that everybody's like moving out, that maybe he wouldn't still be in power. But no, this guy, he goes and he visits China and he sits down and he talks with Xi Jinping, the leader of China. And he comes back and next thing you know, what's happening? They clean up San Francisco. They clean it up like the army of zombies. We don't even know where they are. It's like the Horde. They just moved the Horde somewhere else, I guess. They cleaned it up completely. Social media posts, plants where the homeless addicts were. Plants. Everything looks nice. They got fencing up. They got everything. The streets are clean. Everything's being power washed. All of this stuff's being done. Why? Because there's this APEC summit that's coming into town. The Asian Pacific something. It's the Asia Pacific Economic Corporation Summit. It's a forum consisting of 21 members from the Asia Pacific region. It's aimed at promoting free trade, economic cooperation, and facilitating economic growth. Basically, all the people that are in charge of a lot of money, they're coming together and they're just making deals. They're making deals. And one of the things that, one of the deals that I think is being done is the fact that it's like there's no more, you better just go along with it or else. Or else. Because, I mean, look at how quickly they can clean up that area, right? They wrote laws to allow people to just come in and just rob people. They just rob the store, just take anything you want. They wrote laws that you can't prosecute. People were getting fired for stopping people, for shoplifting. Now everything's behind a bunch of glass. Now everything's behind like a bunch of, and I wonder why. What if they deem you to not be the best person? Maybe you can't shop there anymore. This could be the direction we're going, and it's stressful. Not for us, though. Not for the people that are doing the right thing. If you're doing the right thing, you're not creating, hatred, and you're not doing horrible things. I'm telling you, God's going to take care of you. You're going to be all right. The day that we're in right now, it's a crackdown. I've been saying on this channel for a long time, it's going to be like a python, coming in and squeezing us. Squeezing us! So Newsom was getting all sorts of, hate mail and everything else. Like, where have you been? All of a sudden, you got leaders from China coming in, and you're cleaning up. And you know what he does? He tells everybody, yeah, that's right, pretty much.
No, folks say, oh, they're just cleaning up this place because all those fancy leaders are coming into town. That's true, because it's true. But it's also true for months and months and months prior to APEC. We've been having different conversations.
Just seems like everything is not as cool as it used to be. Even sports has gotten so political and everything else. I think, this lady right here, I think she plays for what? It's like a soccer team. Rapinoe, I think is her name. Megan Rapinoe. She has purple hair or pink hair or green hair. I don't know. Many pictures of her online with wearing like next to nothing. She's a big time, I guess, star in soccer. Whatever. She got injured in the first 6 minutes of her game. First 6 minutes. How interesting is that? She gets injured. She's out. And they say it's like an Achilles issue. I find it very symbolic. I find it very symbolic because she, very vocal, very outspoken. She was like known for her getting her booster. She was like known for this. She was known for being very supportive of the, we'll say, the system that's in charge. And now she can't finish. She can't finish the season, or she can't finish the playoffs or something. I don't know. I'm not a fan of hers. I'm not a fan of really. I'm not really that great with the sports. You got to tell me in the comment section if I'm missing stuff. But to her credit, she's spoken on behalf of people's rights. She's also talked about how there's a big pay discrepancy between women in sports and men in sports. It's like I don't want to demonize the woman just because everybody online seems to demonize her, and because she has she swears like a sailor, and is chugging Bud Light at this press conference where she also says, "Well, me getting hurt, that's proof God doesn't exist." She said this. Listen.
Yeah, I thought about it a little bit. I mean, I'm not a religious person or anything, and if there was a God, this is proof that there isn't. This is proof that there isn't.
I even wrote a little poem when I shared that clip. I said, proof that God exists is man's number being 6. The devil plays his tricks, but never trust the jokes of an atheist. For you may end up bitter with a limp, realizing the world treated you just like a pimp, when God's love was the very thing that you missed. Return to me, all you numbered 6. 6 is the number of man. She's out 6 minutes in the game. That's interesting. The fact that it's her Achilles tendon, very interesting. Somebody online actually posted and said that this was a very symbolic spiritual thing, and brought up the old Jacob. Jacob, when he was left alone, this was, in a part of his life, he ends up fighting this man, this angel in the middle of the night, and he finds out that he's actually wrestling with God. But he wouldn't stop the fight. So what ends up happening is the angel kind of, the story goes, touched the socket or the hollow of his thigh. That's how the story goes. And my whole life, I always thought that it was, his hip. His hip was out of joint. And that's what it was. But you know what I did? There was something about that post on X that got me to look up, go to the Strongs, go to the word origin of that actual passage where the messenger touched the socket of his thigh and the socket was out of whack. Like the word actually translates that he struck it, that he snapped it, that he wrenched it, But you know what the word socket means? Doesn't mean hip socket. It doesn't mean hollow of the thigh. It literally means sole of the foot, the palm of the hand, or the sole of the foot. So really, the story of Jacob, where, for years they don't eat a certain meat because they believe that the story was that he got, his hip was all jacked up. But it wasn't his hip. After I'm reading this, I'm like, oh my goodness, it was probably his Achilles tendon, which is weird. Because when I was alone and I went to go work for that number one Christian network in the world, Daystar, when I went to work there and I left my family back in New York and I was traveling and I was worried and I was scared, my Achilles tendon snapped. And I didn't walk the same afterwards. I was actually in a wheelchair producing stuff. It was when I was trying to place out. Just strange. Because when I looked at that word, it says the sole of the foot. Look at it, sole of the foot. Palm of the hand. So really, the messenger struck the sole of the foot of his thigh. That's really the translation. So it would be like it was a description. He struck the area by the sole of his foot on his side, which could be the Achilles tendon, which is interesting. Because Megan Rapinoe, that leads me to this, and I think to myself, my goodness gracious, that's like a Bible mystery. It's been preached for years. It's his hip. What if it was the Achilles tendon? And you think about that because you think of the mythology of Achilles, right? A simple thing. You can't walk for the rest of your life normal after that. And they don't have like reattachment surgery like I had back then. So he probably did walk with a limp for the rest of his life. Makes a lot of sense. So where Rapinoe is saying that this is proof that God doesn't exist, I'm saying it's pretty much proof that God does exist. I mean, first of all, for those of you that maybe haven't decided to just ask for the truth, like on your own, not go to a church, not go to a mosque, not go to a temple, just on your own, just be like, hey, if you're there, will you show me, will you teach me the truth no matter what the cost? I have a t-shirt, teach me the truth no matter what the cost. It says it on the back and in the front. So when you walk around, it's like people are literally saying that prayer. I say, here we go. Got it right here. Teach me the truth no matter what the cost. If you do that, I'm telling you, God will reveal himself to you and your life will be more interesting. Not going to be easier, but it's going to be better. It's going to be better. So many people today have given up on the idea of being righteous and being holy and being godly. So many people today are following after the gods of this world. The idols, the idolaters in the land. It's a big thing. Look, Drake and J. Cole. Check out this poster, with the owl, That owl, by the way, Minerva, the owl of Minerva, they got like a big one over at the old, when all the big leaders get together and they perform the rituals. No one was supposed to know about it. But that's the big owls. It's the owl of Minerva. It's Athena. It's Isis. It's like the Statue of Liberty. Some people would call it like the Whore of Babylon, if you will. Lilith goes by a lot of different names, but that's what people worship today. And what's interesting is Drake and J. Cole, they're going out and they're performing. It's a 22-day tour, and if you look at the poster, it looks like a 22, doesn't it? And there's a lot of blue there too. So I think to myself, I gotta go. I gotta listen to this. Like, what is the tour about? It's all a blur. You know what a blur is? It's the all a blur tour. You know what a blur is? A blur is something that tries to constrict your vision. Like a blur is something that makes things obscure. You can't really see it. It's all a blur, right? So this concert, in a roundabout way, is one of the things that are keeping people blind, in my opinion. 50 sold out arena dates across North America, 22-day tour, and it went on sale at 11 o'clock. Of all things, I went and I listened to his song. The song, big as the what? Big as the what? The answer in the song is big as the Super Bowl. The superb owl, the Super Bowl, which, by the way, it's got the 111 in this year. That's right, LV111. Take a look at that. Remember, we've been talking about the 111. This is the year. This is the year. This is an interesting time to be alive. I'm excited about it. Are you worried about the stuff going on? Are you worried about your social media posts, or are you a loving, caring person that only tries to build, not tear down? Are you a hateful person that's just like mindlessly following the herd? Or are you speaking up and being a leader and speaking for truth and joy and peace? You one of the people that is going to help the Good Samaritan? Are you like the Good Samaritan? You know, the Good Samaritan, somebody emailed me. I don't even remember who this was. But the Good Samaritan story was that there was a man that was very hurt and beaten, and he was left for dead, and like 2 different religions passed him, right? Like a rabbi passed him, we'll say like a priest passed him. I'm adding to the story. But it was Samaritan. It was a Samaritan who went and helped this man up. A person that they said was the enemy. A person that you weren't even supposed to touch. Remember the story of Jacob's well and the Samaritan woman? Where she's like, oh, you know, she couldn't believe that the rabbi was talking to her. Christ sits at this well. Don't look at other people as your enemy, right? Take the truth of God with you in every aspect of your life and share the love of God with others. That's what draws people to repentance. Is love, not hate, not condemning people. Love draws a multitude of repentance. It's in the scripture, so start loving today. I hope that this show encouraged you. I hope that it didn't stress you out, and I hope it prepared you for what's to come. Because all you got to do is have faith. All you got to do is do the right thing. That's all you got to do. You're going to be okay. Believe me, you're going to be okay. The world's not going to blow up. It's just going to get more strict. It's going to get more strict. And it's going to be difficult for those that don't have the faith that God is on their side. Believe me. All right, I love each and every one of you. Hey, do me a favor, will you? Will you go to the description of the video? Get yourself some merch. By the way, speaking of merch, this meatball right here. Yesterday, you know what I did? I created this. That's the meatball hat. Just the meatball. It's you know, it's going to be wintertime here in New York. Right? It's getting cold. Why not get yourself a Just a Meatball beanie? It looks cool. I designed it. I love it. I think it's so cute. My oldest son Noah's like, I want one. So I had to order a bunch for them already. But get it now. Get it now. Get a copy of The Calling now. Go to the description. All this stuff for the holidays. Get your orders in now. That meatball beanie, by the way, there's a code, early bird. You get a discount if you do it now. It's not going to be around for long. Believe me, it's going to go. It's going to go right after Christmas. I'm taking it down. So get yourself that. It supports the work that I'm doing here, and I'm so grateful for it. I love each and every one of you. Please do hit the like, share, and subscribe the video, and have the best day ever. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
September 10th. Mars hangs closer to the Earth than it has in 6,000 years. Like the light that led men from the East to a child in a manger, it could well be a sign of good things to come. Thomas James shall be his name. The world will change because of him. In the small town of Bethel, in a time not unlike our own, a child with a great purpose is born. Years later, alienated by his peers and abused, Thomas suffers a devastating loss. When it appears he has nothing left to live for in the world, this is when his true calling begins. While trying to escape the sinister powers that be, a terrifying vision haunts him. Miraculous events seem to follow the peculiar young man as he struggles to come to terms with what he was born to do. The stage is set. The time is at hand. The truth will rise and a revolution will begin. The startling revelation of who Thomas James is, truly, will change the lives of those around him and set off a chain of events long ago foretold. There is more to this novel than one might think. Inside these pages hides a treasure just waiting to be discovered. So if you've ever wondered if there's more to life, or why it is we suffer, then this story will not only captivate you, it may just open your eyes to a truth that could set you free. Find out what is in us all that makes us heed the calling